Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Week 1 is loaded, John. A great slate. We're going to break down games of the week, every single class, 5A down to 1A, even SCISA. I can't wait to talk about it. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps, Jerel Hendricks, back on the boards. And, John, like I said, man, this is one of the best first week of the season I feel like I can remember in quite a while.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a lot of really good games. We've got a handful of games on Thursday as well. Some good matchups in the lower classifications, good matchups in 5A as well. I feel like there's not as many, 4A, 1A type games where it's, more of a glorified scrimmage than anything else. We've got some very competitive matchups for this
No
week.
doubt, and I don't know if that's part of it being the RPIs and implemented more. People want to play better games. I don't know. Maybe people got tired of us, trashing their soft schedules. I don't know, man, but I love it, and it looks great this year. Going to be a great Friday night, and even a great Thursday night as well now with some rain and whatnot. Thunderstorms we got coming out there. But if this is you guys' first time tuning in, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, website movinchains.com. And our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more each and every Tuesday night. We go live 7:15, breaking down not only the biggest games in the state, but the whole statewide slate each and every Tuesday. I hope you'll join us again next week and throughout the rest of the regular season. While you're here, get your Moving the Chains merch. We've got some great stuff, some nice Richardson hats right now, some nice hoodies, T-shirts. You can see a quick screen grab there, some athletic shirts as well, some stickers. Email us, info@movinchains.com. You can send us a DM on Facebook, Twitter, whatever is easier for you. Love to have you repping the boys out at these games, man. I know I'll have my stuff on this Friday and throughout the season. Hopefully see you guys out there wearing it as well. Jerel, any comments from the chat before we get rolling here with our CONA games of the week? Brandon says, hey, fellas, bunch of good games this week. Since Clinton isn't going, may go to Hillcrest, Dorman. That's a big one we'll talk about here in just a minute over in Roebuck. Courtney says, my guys, it's football time. Yes, it is, Courtney, man. Excited to get this season rolling. Big Bears checking in, he says. Steven says, Westside Rams checking in. They got a big one, a big low country upstate matchup with Ashley Ridge this week going up, John. CW says Hillcrest pulled all starters first quarter against Indy, only threw it 8 times, could have made that well worse. Game ended with Hillcrest on the 5 with 2s and 3s in. Yeah, they beat a good Independence team out of North Carolina on Friday in their jamboree. I saw that, CW. Mo says, we back. What's up, fellas? Good seeing you, man. Appreciate you joining us tonight for week 1. Daryl Hill says, saluda all day. Trevor says, what's up, guys? Let's go West Side here in week 1. Zach says, C-Town in the building. They get going next week, an off week here for Clinton to start the season. Boss Man says, Strom Thurman in the building. Appreciate you, Boss Man. Bradley says, let's go. Good to see you guys. Thank you, Bradley. Big game for Gaffney against Spartanburg on Friday as well. Slick says, Stags sacked the Stratford Knights in Slicker's corner. Yeah, Berkeley Stratford was a whale of a ball game last year. I think the Stags get some revenge this season. Jonathan says, ready for some Red Fox football. Me too. That Hartsville program will be fun to watch this year.
All right, guys, let's jump into it. CONA games of the week. Let's kick this off, man. It's the first one of the year.
The CONA games of the week, 5 of the biggest games across the state. We're going to break them down for you now, John. Let's start in 5A, down in the low country, 2 of the lower state 5A contenders in my book, and that's Sumter. The Gamecocks traveling down to John McKissick Stadium, taking on the Summerville Green Wave. What do you like in this matchup, John? 2 teams that, we've seen some good at playoff matchups, some good regular matchups lately between these 2 groups. Looking forward to another thriller on Friday, I feel like.
Yeah, I think we're going to kick off the season with this one with a lot of points. These are 2 good offenses, lit up the scoreboard very often last year. We talked about Franklin Richardson coming back for the Sumter Gamecocks. Coach Drew Marlin making his debut as the Sumter head coach. A lot of really good storylines. Summerville losing the landlord. We'll see how they look post his era. But a lot of talent all over the field on both sides of the football. I like Sumter in this one. I think they're going to bring a little bit of edge to this game, maybe a little bit more physicality on the Gamecock side of the football. I know that'll fire up the Green Wave fans and probably the football team as well. That's okay. But I think we're going to see a really good, potentially pretty high scoring matchup here. I talked about in the previous show how much I like this Sumter team. So looking for them to have a good start to the season. And this is a huge kickoff point for both teams here. Whoever wins this game has got a ton of momentum right off the bat.
Certainly. Sumter led by, you mentioned it, quarterback Franklin Richardson, has been known for running the football a lot recently. I think he'll throw it a little bit more under Coach Drew Marlowe here in year one with that offense there that the Gamecocks are going to go with. Two great running backs, Cleve Pinckney, Reggie Shannon. I do worry a little bit about the offensive line, going from that offense they were running last year, a little more cut blocks type stuff to a little more traditional now. Interesting to see how that offensive line holds up in year one for Coach Marlowe, especially in game one as well. Defensively, I like linebacker Nashawn Brown, defensive end Rashawn Dickey, and athlete Ari Rendell, kind of an edge player on defense, tight end on offense. He's a really intriguing prospect for next year's class for the Gamecocks. The Summerville side, back-to-back lower state champs, John. Everybody knows they're led by running back Javen Williams, the JMU commit, 2,300 yards, 24 touchdowns last season. They got to break in a new quarterback, Ethan DeWater. He'll step in. But he's got some good receivers out wide. Even with the loss of Jaden Kelly Murray, they have Taru Davis, Jalen Pounds are both back. The offensive lineman, the Navy commit, Nolan Jeet. I don't know. It's G-I-E-T. I'm not really sure on the pronunciation. I got to figure that out. He's a good player up front for them. Defensively, I like DeMarcus King, Jalen Pryor, Eli Presley as well. So a really good matchup, two heavy hitters. And think about this, John. This is 3 years in a row we get to see Drew Marlowe and Ian Rafferty take on each other. The last 2 years, South Florence played Summerville. They split 1-1. So this is kind of the deciding factor here in this game. It feels to me like two teams that certainly have some unknown pieces so far, like who's going to step up on offensive line for Sumter, how's the quarterback play going to be for Summerville. I'm going to lean Summerville at home. I like Javen Williams a lot. I think they're just a little bit more, I guess, seasoned right now. Speaking, you're breaking a new offense as well for Sumter, things like that. I think the Green Wave at home win this game, but I think it is a really tight matchup. And like you said, I think there could be a lot of points in this one. Could be a points factory game on our hot routes that comes out Thursday. We'll see. But I like the Green Wave in a close one, but two teams that I could certainly see playing again in the playoffs late into November. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the Gamecocks and the Green Wave here in week one.
This is fun, man. These are the type of matchups that you guys mentioned, like early in this season. I do think the RPI has affected it. But again, these are two like premier, legendary programs in state. Yeah. So they always schedule pretty difficult. But again, it tells us a lot about these two teams early in the season. And I think this game is going to indicate, probably, obviously it being early, so you kind of got to pump the brakes, but it's going to show, how the offseason programs are, again, changing pieces with coaching changes, new players on both sides and things like that. Again, with that being said, like I really do like this Sumter bunch a lot, but Summerville, it's a tough place to play. And this is a team in Summerville that, they have played for state championships consecutively over the years. So I'm just going to give them the slight edge. Again, I agree too. Could be a points factory game here. We're saying this all in agreement. It's probably going to be a 6-3 game because we said that. But I lean towards the Green Wave in this one, but I think it's a hell of a contest. And kudos to the coaches and ADs, for scheduling this matchup week one.
Certainly, and I will say this, too. We've seen today a lot of games in the low country get pushed back start time due to some of the heat and whatnot. Have not seen this game get moved back yet, but I'll keep an eye on that. Try to make an updated post probably tomorrow or Thursday if we see some more games that are getting moved into the 8 o'clock, 8:30 window for Friday, but this is not one yet. Jerel, comments from the chat on this ball game. Travis says 38-31 Sumter.
That's the only score prediction. Got a couple more shout-outs here, though. We want to put those on the screen.
Perfect. Kevron says, ready for Gray Collegiate Academy. Thank you, Kevron, for joining us tonight, my man. Peyton says, Camden, Dillon, Darlington, Lamar, Gilbert Nation Fort, all good matchups that are probably getting overlooked. Yeah, and, one of those we got in our CONA games of the week. The other two are big matchups as well, Peyton. But, yeah, it's crazy. I sit down typically Saturday, Sunday with the guys, and, I put together a list of potential games of the week and whatnot, and I had like 15. I was like, this is going to be tough to narrow down 20. Here in week one. So 20. Yeah, sure. So it's a fun slate here to start the season for sure.
That's all we got on this one. Let's go to the next game, guys.
Our second CONA game of the week, a game that we just mentioned, going to the White Walls, John. Camden at Dillon, a game that I know we've seen in the playoffs a lot over the years. This should be a great one to start the season. The Bulldogs, dropping down from 4 to 3A. The Wildcats going from 3 to 2A. Lots of changes here, but we know these two programs that are always really, really good, especially on defense. Can't wait to see this matchup between Coach Rimp's bunch and Coach Roller's bunch.
Yeah, Dillon definitely played some really, really good defense all last year. In this Camden team, I feel like we weren't as high on this Bulldog team last year as maybe we should have been throughout the year. They had a really good playoff run. They smoked Daniel, ended up losing that double overtime thriller to Westside, who was arguably the hottest team in the state, regardless of classification at the time. It's a really good team. This Camden group, I feel like they almost always have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because they always have a great team. And, either they get their hearts broken by Daniel during the weekend of champions, or, they catch the hottest team in the land and play Westside like they did last year. So there's going to be a lot of motivation, I think, with both of these squads. Great programs, great tradition and history. Awesome to see this game played. This can be a great game. I'm really not sure what to expect from either group. To be honest with you, I like Dillon with the home field advantage playing on the white walls, but I think Camden might be the better team. I think they might be the more complete team as of right now. I know Dillon's breaking in a new quarterback this year. Camden, they've got Rimpson coming back, so they have a little bit more stability there. A team that put up some good points last year too. This Bulldog team, you typically think about the Camden defense. This offense was really good last year. I think being a week 1 game, I'm giving the edge to the Bulldogs. I think Camden goes in there, which is crazy, but I think Camden goes in there and wins a close game. I think it's going to be Camden makes a couple more plays offensively to win this one.
Yeah, you mentioned breaking in a new quarterback for Dillon. That's Nebris Harrison, the sophomore, takes over. Really good athlete, but when you're getting your first real snaps against a team like Camden, that's kind of scary there for sure. Running back Noah Singletary will step in to carry the load for the Wildcats this year. Receiver Zay Carmichael is a good player for them. Similar to last year, John, I feel like, I like Dillon's skill guys a lot. I worry a little bit about the trenches for them, which I feel like in the years past wasn't the case, but I feel like they're a little bit depth-wise, maybe, smaller than what you'd like to have as far as number of bodies there up front for them. Defensively, I love Jalen McCoat, love Kelvion Manning, two really good players for that Nasty Cats defense there for Dillon. On the Camden side, senior quarterback Grayson Rimp last year, 24-91, 32 touchdowns for the Bulldogs. Two good receivers, Isaiah Smith and kind of a tight end receiver, Will Honert going to Walford. Defensively, LeVay Penny, Kenneth Lawson, Jaden Manning, some really good pieces for those guys. They're always good on that defensive line, especially it feels like they're for the Bulldogs. For me, it comes down to the quarterback play in week 1. You got a senior, veteran guy for Camden. Dillon, you got a sophomore first start. I know it's at home. If this was a later in the season matchup, I might switch, but I think week 1, the non-commodity quarterback with Grayson Rimp, I'm going the Bulldogs go on the road to win this game, but always a fantastic matchup. We've seen some very low-scoring nail-biters with these two in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a similar scoreline, maybe, 21-17, 28-24. Like, I'm thinking we keep it kind of low this game here, but I think the Bulldogs go on the road and win in a very tough environment on Friday night. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on Camden at Dillon.
This one's really, really tough because, again, a lot of unknowns here going into the season with some moving pieces. But then two programs where, excellent head coaches here that just know how to win, teams and players that are expecting to win every time they touch the football field. And these are programs, they kind of go up and down in classification, but it really doesn't matter. You're just going to get some high quality football from these guys. That's a great point. The quarterback play is always, it's tough to go against a senior, against someone making their, first start. But I just can't go against, Dillon in the white wall. So I'm going to lean home field advantage. That crowd's going to be raucous. Yes. Week 1, they've been waiting. So it can be an intimidating environment. I'm going to go 3-point game, taking Dillon in this one, but I think it's going to be a heck of a ball game there.
Yeah, can't falter for that at all, man. It's a tough place to play, tough place to go in and win. That's for sure. So it should be a good ball game. Jessica says Camden. Thank you for Jessica for joining us tonight. Bradley says he'd like to see Camden Dillon. Should be a good game. It certainly should be. Looking forward to one getting after it. Camden 28-24, says Travis. Chris says Summerville by 17, Dillon by 10. I like those picks, Chris. Zach says Camden humbles Dillon in week 1. Zach going with the big win for the Bulldogs there.
Yeah, just some other comments here.
The big boy says Irmo. We'll get to that game here in a minute. One of our CONA games of the week, a big matchup there. Ryan says ready for Saluda. Can be a special year. People are high on the Tigers. I think they're maybe a little bit underranked right now, kind of low in that poll. I think they could be a better football team than what some folks think about them for sure.
Like that picture there, Ryan.
Chris is so glad football season's back. Kind of sad his youngest senior season. Man, that is tough, man. Enjoy it, Chris. I'm sure you'll have a good time going to all the games, man, this season. So enjoy that. Chris says, what's up, guys? Batesburg, Leesville, Woodland scrimmage moved to Thursday. Okay, we'll make sure we note that as well. Thank you, Chris. Camden 10-7 over Dillon, says Nathaniel. I can see that, man. I can see a low-scoring game to start the season for sure. Two fun programs.
Yeah, going to be a good one. Let's go to the next game, guys.
Our third CONA game of the week, back to the upstate for a 5A matchup. The Hillcrest Rams traveling to take on the Dorman Cavaliers. John, two teams that I like a lot this year. I think they're both really good on offense. Defensively is maybe the weaker side for both teams, just comparatively to what they got coming back. But two teams that I think could really make some noise in the upper state playoffs. Hillcrest led by quarterback Jackson Free, running back Nye Allen, receiver Caden Stevenson. Offensive line is good, led by Max Barnes. Defensively, linebacker Kyle Jackson and Gavin Sullivan at DB lead that group there for the Rams. Dorman, two really good running backs. Nick Means, 1,300-plus yards last year. Told me he wants a touchdown record this year, so I'll keep an eye out for Nick on that. Running back Carter Nash, a young sophomore, is a really good runner for them as well. Receiver Juice Watkins-Hines. Defensive lineman James Porter. And then a kid I like a lot on the back end, Jabez Thomas at DB, is a stud there for the Cavaliers. John, what do you like in this Cavaliers-Rams matchup on Friday?
Yeah, I think the biggest two storylines here to me are for Dorman, how's that defense look without Polo Anderson coming back? And then on the Hillcrest side of the football, this was a young team that played. They had some real good streaks. I got to watch a couple of Hillcrest games last year, and there were a couple drives, offensive and defensively. You look at this team and go, man, they are really talented. But they were young. They made some mistakes. You expect that. For Hillcrest, I want to see how much this team grew up over the summer and, how that experience from last year, if they have a little more consistency this year. Now, I think it's hard to demand that in week 1. You're going to have penalties. You're going to have pre-snap issues. And that's going to be for everybody, right? But I'm interested to see how this team looks from a growing up standpoint. I think these are two really good teams. I think both of these teams are going to be really difficult to come across late in the season. But this Dorman program, the last 2 years, have just slowly gotten a little bit better and a little bit better. Last year, they played Dutch Fork. I mean, the offense can never really get it going, but the defense kept them around in that game longer than I think a lot of people expected. This is a Dorman team. I expect them to make another little stride again this year. I think this Dorman team is, I don't know if I would say they're going to be a little bit overlooked this year, but I think they could be better than what people expect. I think this Dorman team is going to be pretty doggone good this year, and I think they're going to prove it Friday night in this game. I think it's going to be a relatively close game, but I think Dorman's going to walk away and be the clearly better team in week 1. Come November, let's see how good Hillcrest is, because I think they're still going to do some growing up here early in the season. I think later in the year, this would be maybe a closer ball game, but I like Dorman in this game a lot.
One thing I didn't mention going through the Dorman spot there was the quarterback. And that's because there's maybe some flux there. I thought we had a guy figured out for them, and then now it looks like we may see Jabez Thomas, the DB, playing quarterback. He was a guy that stepped in last year, had some good packages, really good runner, smooth with the ball, good passer as well. He may be the quarterback now. We don't really know. And that's, obviously a big situation to monitor there. We've got a great ground game. We know that with Means and Nash, but what can they get from the quarterback to kind of keep those guys honest? That is something I'm really intrigued to see on Friday, is who takes the snaps, who takes the bulk of the snaps, and how does that go for the Cavaliers? One thing I want to mention on the Hillcrest side I didn't earlier, kicker Easton Demarski hit a 50-yarder in their Jamboree game last Friday. So that's always a key to have a big leg there in the kicking game. But one matchup I cannot wait to see, I teased the two guys earlier, receiver Caden Stevenson, a super sophomore for the Rams, going up against Jabez Thomas at DB for the Cavaliers. Two of the best at their position, two electric playmakers. Going to be a great matchup if we get to see those guys one-on-one some on Friday. I thought that I had, John, what's your thoughts on this? Head coach Amos Lamb for Hillcrest. First game as a head coach ever, longtime assistant. Is that a worry at all that it's your first game? But I will say, I think I like it better that it's on the road than at home for him. I feel like, first home game, you got a lot of stuff going on. First road game, maybe a little bit easier is your first time there as a head coach.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I think I'd rather still be at home than have to go to Dorman University. That could be an imposing atmosphere, especially with that program that's on the other side of the sidelines. But no matter what happens with this game here in week 1 for Hillcrest, they're going to be a good football team. And I think they're going to get better and better as the year goes. Yeah,
this is the first meeting in 7 years between the two teams. Listen to this, John. Hillcrest won the first ever game between the two programs. Dorman's now won 23 straight. So the Cavaliers have a 23-1 lead in the series. I think the Rams go on the road and win this one on Friday. I like the continuity there. Free to Stevenson, Nye out in the backfield. Those guys offensively. I just worry about the quarterback spot for Dorman. I don't know what they're going to do. And it may come out where Thomas starts on Friday and just lights it up, and I was like an idiot. That could certainly be the case. And that's wouldn't be the first time there. But just the uncertainty there worries me some in week 1. And I think the Rams are put together, like you said, a bunch of guys back from last year's squad that we know names of already. The offensive line with Coach Lamb being the head man now, the O-line will still be fantastic for them. I think Hillcrest goes on the road and wins a close ball game, but should be a really good one over in Roebuck on Friday. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on this game? John and I are split on this one. But, like all of our games of the week, pretty much every week, there's not really a wrong pick one side or the other, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure. Picking pregame. If we knew all the answers, we'd be in Vegas and not doing this on Tuesday nights. But I'm going to go Dorman this one. I just like that ground game. I like the two-headed monster in the backfield. I think even with the quarterback uncertainty, you throw Thomas back there, they can control the game. Again, it's a home matchup over there. Like John said, Dorman University. I think that the crowd's going to be pretty pumped up there, and I think they can kind of neutralize and they can kind of dictate the pace of the game. That is not to say anything bad about this Hillcrest bunch. I think they are going to make some noise this year, especially with Jackson Freed back there. I remember we talked to Coach Swag in the offseason, and he said one of the hardest things for him going to Clover was leaving this bunch that he's had. He's kind of grown up with these kids, and it's really like their time to shine this year. So Coach Lamb has definitely inherited a great bunch. Really excited to see what he's going to do in leading that program, but also want to give kudos to Coach Morris. I mean, he's a guy, he took his bumps and bruises his first couple of years, and he's really surrounded himself with a great staff. He's got these guys playing well. He's a young coach, and I think that Dorman, again, another team, they're going to really make some noise. Again, these are 3 matchups in a row that we've talked about. Again, I don't know if it's RPI or whatever it is, but kudos to the ADs, for scheduling these tough matchups early in the season and really testing their guys. So I'm excited about this one.
You mentioned Coach Morris. I think they were 3-8 his first year and have now gotten better. Last year made the deep run, I think the Upper State Final, correct? And then this year, I think number 4 in the inaugural preseason poll there. So a good group there at the Cavaliers. He's done a great job. Great to see an alum stepping up like that. Zach mentions Hillcrest wins, especially his big leg kicker. Yeah, I mentioned a 50-yarder on Friday, man. Really cool to see. And I think that's something that we're seeing more and more of in high school, especially here in South Carolina. A lot of kids can really kick the football now, it seems like. And I know a lot of trainers and whatnot that are helping out with that, but really cool to see how that's been grown here in the state. Chris says Hillcrest could win big, definitely legit. The question for Dorman is QB play. Agreed, Chris. Yeah, I think you took the right out of my mouth there. I agree with you there, Chris. Brandon says Hillcrest 35-28 in an upset. Hillcrest Lawrence both look very impressive in the Burns Jamboree Friday. Dorman by 20, says Justin. Chris says Gaffney scrimmage 2 weeks ago, and they looked good. Talking about Hillcrest, that is. Travis says Hillcrest 38-35. Deuce says Hillcrest 24-21. CW says Hillcrest brings back 75% of their production offense, 75% defense, 60% offense, plus Jackson Free committed to PC. Only graduated 22 seniors last year. That's still a big number, I feel like. But Nathaniel says 24-23 Hillcrest. Steven says Westside Hillcrest week 4 going to be must see. That will be a very fun matchup, Steven. No doubt about that.
Yeah, Kevin and I have already talked about this. We're scared.
Yeah, just it's early. It's early, Brandon. Don't worry about that.
Let's go to the next game, guys.
Our 4th CONA game of the week, John. And talk about athletes all over the field. Rock Hill at Irmo. The Bearcats are loaded this year. Got some guys coming into the program, some guys who have been there for Coach Bullware. Really talented squad. Irmo, the Yellow Jackets for Coach Brand, have D1 commits, and not just low-level D1, Power 5 commits all over the field. Rock Hill, quarterback Jonah Young is back. Got a good committee of running backs. Receivers and DBs, these guys kind of play both sides of the football. Caden Watkins is a stud. JoJo Brooks, Nigel Light. Up front, Ames Tolliver. Watch out for Jalen Culp in some Wildcat stuff. He's kind of a slot guy. We'll step in for some Wildcat quarterback as well. Defensively, Kalen Wright, Jay-Sean Culp, then all those guys we mentioned, Brooks, Watkins, Zymir Gordon-Miles as well, Ashton Carter, really deep on the D-line. Coach Bullware told us last week they're going 3 deep on the defensive front, which you do not see a lot in high school there, John. Really impressive there. And they got a great kicker as well with James Eckert. Touchbacks, 50-plus yarders. He is a great special teams weapon for the Bearcats. On the Irmo side, back-to-back lower state champs. They were in 5A Division II last year. This year dropping down to 4A. Loaded with talent defensively. Jaden Bryant, Miami commit. Defensive lineman Tyrone Jennings. Defensive back Jamar Grissett. Defensive back Jaden Arrington. Offensively, running back Ty Phillips, a Bama commit. Ethan Singletary, receiver, a ECU commit. D. Arrington out wide. Offensive lineman Nate Carson, a South Carolina commit. Quarterback Britton Davis, year 2 for him for Coach Brand there. John, this is a game that we've seen a lot of, we could say, trash talk, a lot of build-up online between these two programs. Should be a great one down at W.C. Hawkins on Friday night.
Yeah, this is a fun matchup. This is growing up, Irmo Rock Hill played for a state championship, and that was 2 of the best high school football teams I had seen probably. Well, maybe not to that. There's some good Union teams I saw too, but those are some 2 really, really good football teams. There's a little bit of history here for folks that are our age and even a little older that remember those Irmo Rock Hill days. But I think for me, the deciding factor in this football game, well, there's 2 of them. I think Irmo's got more talent on their bench. They've got more talent. There's a lot of really, really good talent on their sideline. And there is, I talked about how Camden usually has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. If this Irmo team doesn't come into this game with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, something's wrong with them. Because we know the last 2 seasons, they have ended their season at the hands of another Rock Hill program at the state championship. And December last year, that game did not treat them well. So I think they are going to be really, really ready to pop some pads on Friday night against this Rock Hill group. I know it's a different school, but if I'm the Irmo coaching staff, I am banging that drum all off season about this game. And, it's coach is going to say, hey, it's just one game, but to get started off on the right foot and, if this Irmo team can come out and beat a really good Rock Hill team here in week 1 and really make a statement, that's going to go a long way for them to propel them the rest of the season. Conversely, Rock Hill, hey, here's your chance to really put Rock Hill back on the map. I think they're a good football team. I don't think they're quite there yet, but I think they could get there come toward the end of the season. But I like the Yellow Jackets in this game, especially playing at W.C. Hawkins at home. Should be a great atmosphere, great environment. A lot of should be a pretty packed house too. This will be a fun game to watch. Irmo's got to come out and prove it, but I like Irmo in this ball game. I think they come out and I think they win by a couple scores.
I know you mentioned Irmo chipping the shoulder. I think Rock Hill does too. You look at your crosstown rivals the last 2 years. You got 3 state titles between South Point and Northwestern. You're like, hey, we got to do something. It's our time to step up and do that. And they got some players now on their team who are on some of those teams that won a state title. So they've got some of that championship pedigree now there for Coach Bullware. Rock Hill program that's a proud program that has not quite been there the last couple of years. And I think they are trying to get back to prove that, hey, we're the real deal. And I think this game will go a long way to showing what they're capable of. Even if they don't win the game, if they just, play tough, good showing, it'll be really exciting for me to get that out of the Bearcats. And I don't know what to make of it because, we talk about Irmo, the quarterback Britton Davis, was sharing time last year. It was up and down when he played. This year, he's the guy. How much has he progressed? I don't know. You get the new running back, Ty Phillips, coming in from North Carolina. Nobody has seen him play. Obviously, he looks great. People think he's a great recruit. He's a Bama commit. Who knows how good? Nobody in the state has seen him, actually with the pads on and going full bore. So it could be awesome. I just don't know what to make of that. On the Rock Hill side, we talk about all their athletes out wide. I don't know a lot about their linebacker crew. I know the defensive line is really good. Coach Bulwer told us that. Linebackers, I don't know. This is a tough one for me to call. And I think I don't know if I trust the Rock Hill offense yet enough to pick them. That's kind of what worries me a little bit is what do they got offensively? I know they got the weapons that are playing both ways. Jonah Young, a year or two as a starter there for them. But I'm just not sold on them offensively yet. I think Irmo at home, like you said, John, wins this game. I think it's a very, very close game. And I think it's low scoring, honestly, too. I think two teams that they want to be physical with each other. I think maybe gets a little bit nasty, get some flags thrown. Maybe a little pregame talking, too. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that down there at Irmo on Friday. But a great ball game, two really good coaching staffs there, two loaded programs. I think both could make some noise this year. But I go Irmo in a close one at home. I don't feel great about the pick, but that's where we're going. Jerel, what do you think in this one? Is it time for Rock Hill to really jump out on the map like that, or does Irmo just say, hey, we're still Irmo this week?
These matchups are fun because it's the known commodity that you think in Irmo versus like the shiny new toy, the up and coming, it's a historic program, but it's an up and coming program in Rock Hill, from what they've been previously. So that's what makes it fun. I mean, again, this one's tough because it's two great head coaches,
yes,
two coaching staffs that we respect and trust. The thing that I analyze here is looking at the last time I saw Irmo play. And you have to say, what adjustments did that great coaching staff make in the offseason? Again, there's talent on both sides. I don't think, I don't. Obviously, you would give a slight edge in talent to Irmo with some of the guys that they have going to, these premier D1 programs. But again, these are some kids out of Football City, USA, who are used to playing, high caliber football. I think this is also a situation, where these two programs where they have a lot to prove. I feel like Irmo trying to get over the hump. And then you have to think about Rock Hill. Their rivals across town, Holden Hardware. And so, they've been winning state championships, and you got to think that they're trying to climb that mountain as well. And, say, hey, you guys kind of broke off of us. We're the premier, program in Football City, USA. All that being said, I'm going to pull the upset. I think Rock Hill wins this game. It's going to be a statement. I think it's going to be a close one. I like Rock Hill to win it to kind of, shake things up, and we'll see how it goes. But
I like it. What's the chat saying about this one, Jerel? Because I mean, it's a heavyweight matchup. I think I will say, I think a lot of the folks across the state maybe don't realize how good Rock Hill is yet, and I think that is something that we're going to find out throughout the season. I think that Bearcats group is really good. Roquest says Irmo's got a grown man at running back. They certainly do. Excited to see him in action. Irmo 35-24 says Travis. Dude says hard choice, but Rock Hill in a close one. Justin's got Irmo by 21. Brendan, he likes Irmo in that game. This year they need to win it all. It's certainly, it's your time, Irmo, to do it for sure.
They did a good job replacing.
Yeah, Chris says Rock Hill by 3. How do they replace running back Amir White? They got a transfer, Chris, from North Carolina, Ty Phillips, a Bama commit, a stud back there for the Yellow Jackets.
Shout out to our friends in the Peach Field.
Bulldog, Peach Field's in the building. We'll break down that game in a little bit here. Appreciate you, Elvin and Bulldog. Great game between the Rebels and the Yellow Jackets this week. Bulldog says Irmo by 3.
And that's the last one. So let's go to the SCISA game.
Perfect. SCISA game of the week, John. Heathwood Hall traveling to Pinewood Prep. Pinewood Prep 1-0. They played last week. Heathwood Hall did not. Heathwood Hall led by quarterback Harrison Hartley, receivers Keon McKinley and Alan Rodriguez. Running back Jackson Dickerson defensively, Hayward Belzer, Morgan Glass, and Edwards for Coach Zimmerman's bunch there. The Panthers last week, 62-27 over First Baptist, back-to-back 3A state champs. They are now up in 4A, so this is a 4A matchup here in SCISA this year, John. Quarterback Silas Bronner, 20 for 29, 312, 3 touchdowns. Receiver Trey Green, 7 for 157 and 2 touchdowns. Mikey Williams, 4 for 58 and a touchdown. Tight end Hayward Moore also caught a touchdown pass. Running back Jeremy Kendall, 14 for 101, 2 touchdowns. Grayson Saligo, 12 for 64, 2 touchdowns. Defensively, Gavin Spell, 7 tackles, 3 TFLs, and also Jaden Parrott and Jacob Sweet were good players for Coach Holloman's bunch. This is an intriguing game to me because I think this Heathwood Hall program with Coach Dorman is getting better and better the last couple of years. You know, they beat Hammond last year, went and played for a state title, lost to Northwood there. Pinewood Prep has been really good since Devontae Holloman took over. Like I said, back-to-back 3A state champions there for them, going up a class this year. It's a similar thing to what I've said a lot of these games this week, John, is that the known commodity I feel like is Pinewood Prep. Like we know about Bronner and Green and Salego and Kendall and that team there. I think I like them because I know a few more of their pieces right now. With Heathwood Hall, they're replacing a lot off of a good Highlander bunch from last year. I like the Panthers at home to win this one, but should be a fun 4A matchup in SCISA.
Yeah, you know, and I have – there's not many coaches in the state, if any, that I like more than Coach Holloman. You know, what he did at South Point, really breaking that program in, and his high school coaching career as well. You know, he's done a really good job in his short time at Pinewood, and I think this is going to be – I think this is this Coach Holloman's third year at Pinewood, I believe?
I believe fourth.
Fourth year. I always feel like, hey, man, this could be the year. I think I like them at home in this game too. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be one of those coin flip type games. But I like Pinewood. I like that they're at home. And what you said about Heathwood Hall, just having to replace a lot. You know, I think having that known commodity and have a little bit more comfortability with your roster, your personnel in week 1, I think that's certainly much more bigger deal than it would be in week 5 or 6. So I'm going to go Pinewood too.
Agreed. Jerel, who do you like in this one? Highlanders, Panthers on Friday.
Yeah, let's make it a clean sweep. I like Pinewood in this one too. But man, how cool is this head coaching matchup too? You know, you're two guys that you know, it's fans of high school football in the state of South Carolina that we got to idolize. I mean, just fantastic players. You know, just really got it done in state here, and then now just making a difference as head coaches. You know, just winning at really high levels. You know, they're in the SCISA ranks. So just really, proud of these two head coaches and what they've built in these programs. And, again, slight edge to Pinewood here, but I think Heathwood is another team, like as they get everything figured out through the season, I think they're going to peak a little bit later, but Pinewood right now with the known commodity is the team that I'm going to pick to win the football game. And
already having a game under their belt from last Friday as well, I feel like is a big plus. So I think we all like the Panthers in that one. Elvin's got Heathwood by 14. Okay, Elvin. Yeah,
that's the only pick that we have. Let me filter through a couple more comments. Just some people showing
Michael
love.
Michael says, big salute. We'll talk about those 2A ranks here in a little bit, Michael.
Let me see. I think I had another one here. This is also a good comment.
Travis, weather will be a factor this week. Yeah, we already got some games moving to Thursday. Some games getting delayed to later on Friday. Interesting to see if we get any more changes. I don't know. I know it's kind of tough when you do that Wednesday, Thursday point to make a big change. So I don't know if we'll get any more tomorrow or not.
And here's a question to think about during the course of the show. We maybe come back to this one at the end.
Yeah, we'll get back to that line. That's a great question. It's a very talented state this year. We'll put it that way. So we'll get back to you on that one. Deuce says Pinewood 28-14 over Heathwood. Ruddy says Saluda.
Yeah, and that's what we got for comments.
Perfect. Well, let's shout out some friends of the program. Once again, these were our CONA games of the week. We had Sumter at Summerville, Camden at Dillon, Hillcrest at Dorman, Rock Hill at Irmo, and Heathwood Hall at Pinewood Prep. If you missed any of those, you can go back to the beginning of the show once we're done and check them out. It'll live forever online. But, Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program. Then we'll come back and start going through the rest of the statewide slate.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on-the-go, the pick-up-and-go, and the I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopaedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Let's do it a little bit differently this week. Typically, guys, we go 5A down to 1A in SCISA. John, let's start since we're having some games on Thursday. Let's do all the Thursday games right quick, and then we'll get into the 5A ranks and go down from there if that works for you.
Yeah, quickly, we'll do 5A. So here's a pretty fun matchup right off the bat, or on Thursday night, rather. In the PD, Marlboro County going to host Myrtle Beach.
Those are 2 teams that, if you watched our preview show last week for 1A through 5A, I like both those teams a lot. I think they're both kind of overlooked. I think Marlboro County in 2A is going to be a big-time playmaker there. And then Myrtle Beach as well, a team that I have heard good things about. I like the passing game a lot with DeBrule and Brown there for Coach Wilson. A team I've got an eye on there, the Seahawks as well. So it should be a fun game. Marlboro County at home is tough, but you got to think a 4A Myrtle Beach program, 2 classes bigger. I like Myrtle Beach on the road when that, but it should be a fun ball game there on Thursday, that is.
Yeah, 2 good teams. And hey, well, got a good look at Marlboro County gets a bigger program. That'll be nice to see.
Yeah.
Blackville Hilda will be hosting Denmark Olar. We've got
Blackville
Marion.
Hilda, a team that I'm very high on in the small Division 2-1. I think they'll be really good this year. Getting all the Wilson Elko's kids there. I like that Fighting Hawk squad.
We'll have Marion at home against Kingstree. Lamar hosting Darlington. And Aiken will host Lakeside High School out of Georgia.
Lamar Darlington, always a great matchup there, kind of a rivalry in Darlington County there. The Silver Foxes with Coach Boyd played for state last year, lost a lot of talent. DQ Green is back for them. But the Falcons also lost quarterback Jalen Augustus. Coach Johnson, though, has got that program kind of heading up, it feels like there. Should be a fun one with the Falcons and the Silver Foxes on Thursday. But, John, let's move over to the 5A ranks now and go through that classification.
Yeah, we saw a comment on this one. Northwestern hosting Huff out of North Carolina. Big time matchup here. I really don't know much about Huff. What I do know is they are usually really, really good.
We
know the Sturgeon team is good.
They got
I want to go with Northwestern at home.
Yeah, they both are just loaded. Josh Dobson, top 5 player in the country, went from Catawba Bridge over to Huff now. I think they got a great D lineman as well there. Two stacked programs. I am pulling hard for the Trojans. In all of these cross-state matchups, I want the SC team to just smoke the other guys. So let's go Northwestern. Hope you win this game big for the state on Friday.
And then I believe this is another North Carolina squad. Gray heading up to play Chambers. And this is a Chambers thing. I think they changed their name. I want to say this might have been one of the high schools that had a different name a few years ago. I could be wrong on that, but obviously pulling for Gray in that matchup as well. Coming back into South Carolina, we've got another great game here. Gaffney hosting Spartanburg.
This is you would say great rivalry game, but I think Gaffney's won like the last 10 in a row. So it's kind of odd there. Interesting to see how this is going to shake out. I like this Spartanburg team a lot. I think they're kind of overlooked a little bit. The running back Trent Lynch, the Rutgers commit, is a great player there. I like some of the weapons out wide for Coach Hodges' bunch. The new quarterback is coming in. That does scare me a little bit there for them. But I like Skylar Douglas. Defensively, I like RJ Estrich. I like Tryon Duncan. They've got a good group there. Gaffney picked up, we mentioned earlier, Amir White. The running back comes in. He's a great player for them. Kendarius Bailey on defense. Zion Dawkins on defense. Always good on that side of the ball. Working out the quarterback spot. So that does give me some pause here early on for the Indians. I think Spartanburg does get off the snide and wins this game on Friday. But 2 good teams, always a good matchup. 2 great coaching staffs there with the Vikings and the Indians. It's going to be on TV in the upstate Friday, says Brandon as well.
That's awesome. Woodmont will travel to play Greer under the Water Tower. Richland Northeast at home against Spring Valley. Burns is hosting Independence. We talked a little bit about that Independence Club. They've already gotten roughed up by South Carolina in a jamboree, so hopefully Burns can continue that on Friday. J.O. Mann will be hosting Lawrence. Berkeley.
How about Lawrence? Talk about jamborees, and I don't want to put too much stock into those, but very impressive showing for Coach Porter's bunch last Friday. we'll see what they've got. Jerel, man, I think should be improved in year 2 under Coach Smiley. Good matchup there. Good kind of, measuring stick for both squads, it feels like.
Yeah, we know what Coach Porter is capable of. Expect to see that Lawrence program improve. Down in the lower state, Berkeley will be hosting Stratford.
A game that I saw last year came down to the last minute. Stratford lost a ton. Jakin Davis is gone. Malik McGowan's gone. I think Berkeley is a team to keep an eye on in lower state 5A. I think the Stags get a win at home with Henry Rivers at quarterback there. 4-year starter for Coach Lodge. I think Berkeley wins that football game.
I think this is a very underrated matchup here. Ashley Ridge at home against Westside. 2 programs you don't typically see playing. I don't know if they've ever played, actually. Not that I can remember, but two pretty good offenses, 2 pretty good teams here. It could be a fun game on Friday.
Yeah, a question I had here, John, I wanted to pose to you and even Jerel too. A lot of, we mentioned there's always a huge improvement from game 1 to game 2 for folks. What about teams that got to play a jamboree against teams that didn't last week due to weather? Like a lot of them down in the low country got rained out. I don't think Ashley Ridge played a jamboree last week. Westside did. Is that a big factor? I don't know. But that's something I was kind of thinking about when we were doing some research here. How big of a piece does that factor in? But I think Westside on the road makes a statement. I like that Rams program a lot. I think Coach Lane's bunch goes on the road and wins.
That should be a really fun game. I think I'd like to know how the jamboree goes. I think if it goes really poorly, it's maybe even a bad thing because you're not playing enough to really get in a groove.
Yeah.
But if you play well, you get that confidence going, and you getting a little bit of live action under the lights always helps too. One of our CONA games of the week that we talked about earlier, Dorman hosting Hillcrest. We've got Malden at home against Christ Church.
Maybe the best game in Greenville County on Friday. A Christ Church team I like a lot. Judd Wyndham, Michael Martin, and that crew there for Coach Hatfield. And a Malden team under Coach Cook that has gotten progressively better as he's taken over. I know it's a kind of a cross-classification matchup there, but I like that Mavericks team and that Cavaliers team going at it. It should be a fun game on Friday.
We've got another game here in Greenville County, Southside Christian hosting Boiling Springs.
That intrigues me. 2 teams that I'm fairly high on. That should be a good ball game there, I think, over in Greenville.
Then we've got North Myrtle Beach at home against Socastee, and West Ashley will be hosting Wando. As we move on down, South Point hosting Ridgeview. That'll be a fun ball game there.
Yeah, South Point, obviously state title winner last year, got a lot of new pieces coming in. Ridgeview's got a lot of pieces back. Quarterback Trey Howard's back again for Coach Howard's bunch there. Should be a fun one. South Point, you always know they've got great athletes, got great defense, especially. What can Ridgeview do against that defense? I think is the key matchup in that game.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game. I think that's gonna answer some questions about both squads. That'll be a fun one to keep tabs on Friday. Chapman will be at home against Eastside. Goose Creek hosting Fort Dorchester. Another massive game. This one in the lower state, James Island hosting Oceanside.
I believe I saw that one's already moved back to 8:30 kick on Friday. 2 teams. There's been some trash talk there as well. A little bit going in the offseason. We had some media personnel going from one school to the other and whatnot. And some people didn't like that too much. So it should be a fun game. Both teams that made deep runs last year. Oceanside obviously won it all. James Island went to the lower state title game last year. They returned Raphael Puyu out wide. I like him a lot for Coach McCoy's bunch. Sam Crumpton at tight end. New quarterback Brady Dancer steps in for his brother. It'll be a fun program. Kind of young on defense. Got to figure that out. And if you're young on defense, I don't think you want to play Oceanside Collegiate in game 1. With Aiden Manavian, Jaden Kelly Murray, Anthony Williams, and that crew there. I think the Land Sharks go on the road and win this game. Just a little bit worried about that James Island defense here in week 1, I would say.
Quite the test to break in with. Goose Creek is at home against Fort Dorchester. Another one of our CONA games of the week here, Irmo hosting Rock Hill. We've got Lexington at home against Midland Valley.
That's a sneaky good game there for me. Midland Valley, really good offensive pieces. The running back Preston Smith, tight end Cam Gleaton, quarterback Xavier Jeter. Lexington, the quarterback Easton Crocker, a youngster there for them. Year 2 for Coach Young. What do? They take a big step. We shall see, but it should be a fun matchup there over in Lexington.
Another CONA game of the week that we talked about earlier, Summerville hosting Sumter. We'll have West Florence at home against Carolina Forest. River Bluff at home against Cane Bay. Clover on the road against Fort Mill. Lucy Beckham will be hosting Fort Dorchester. Catawba Ridge is at home against Blythewood. RB Stall. Now we've got a little bit of
I've seen I've seen Goose Creek twice and Fort Dorchester twice. So we'll say Max Preps might be a little bit off on their schedule. And we'll try to get some clarity on that here in a minute for you folks.
Yeah, hopefully we're not making Fort Dorchester play a split squad here in week 1. We'll have River Bluff hosting Cane Bay, Catawba Ridge at home against Blythewood, Lugoff Elgin hosting Chapin.
I like that game a lot. That Lugoff Elgin team, I told you guys last week, I'm really high on. Great offensively, some good players on defense as well. And Chapin, first-year head coach Corey Helms, he did a great job at Cardinal Newman, did a great job at Pelion last year. He will get them heading in the right direction. He's going to be good up front, have a good offensive line group. They'll try to push around a little bit. I think the Lugoff Elgin offense, a little too explosive. I think they win that game on Friday, but an up-and-coming program really on both sides, it feels like. But I think LE is poised for a really good run this year.
Yeah, that Demon Squad, they're going to be a fun one to keep tabs on this year. You don't normally expect them to make a whole lot of noise, but maybe this year they can.
Yep.
And then closing out 5A, you've got AC Flora at home against White Knoll. Fun matchup right there as well.
Yeah, 2 new head coaches, Willie Alford at AC Flora, Victor Floyd at White Knoll. Both teams have a lot to replace, honestly, on both sides. So we'll see what they've got coming back, but that'll be a fun one. And I wanted to confirm, I see Goose Creek on their schedule has Stall on Friday. So Goose Creek Stall is the action on Friday. It looks like between the Gators and that Warriors bunch. Jerel, comments.
So we'll have to double check on what Fort Dorchester's doing there.
We search for them too. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on 5A.
Let's just filter through the chat. We're real chatty in the chat today.
Huff won state title last year. They certainly did, Nathaniel. They're a really, really good football team. Northwestern by 60, says Chris Bland. I would love to see that. We'll love to see that. Courtney's got Northwestern as well. That's awesome. Northwestern won by 5, 19. If it's 19-14, I would be very surprised if we keep it that low score, Nathaniel. But we'll see. We'll see. Chris says Spartanburg hasn't beaten Gaffney in 10 years. Young at quarterback and receiver. Defense will carry us, though, first half of the season. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, and I like the running backs. I like the guys there. I like the defense, but the quarterback worries me a little bit there for the Indians early on. Michael says Northwestern routed in the fourth to beat Huff 2 years ago in Charlotte. Huff highly motivated and loaded, nationally ranked for reasons. Yes, they're a good group there. Certainly are. Should be a fantastic ball game. Westside played Rabun Gap to a 13-all tie, says Brandon Kuhn.
It's impressive.
Travis will be going to Westside at Ashley Ridge. Travis, have a good trip, man. That's going to be a long drive for you boys down there to Ashley Ridge. Enjoy that one. Brandon's got Lawrence over JL. Man, he agrees that should be much improved this season.
Come on, Courtney.
Courtney says, I hope Oceanside gets big. For folks who don't know, Courtney is a BHP Bears fan. Nathaniel says Midland Valley can be a dark horse in that region. Irmo, North Augusta are favorites. Midland Valley can sneak up on you. A lot of talent there. I like what Coach Dorman is doing. Good program there. The Mustangs are. Steven says, first time ever Westside playing Ashley Ridge. Looking forward to making the trip down there on Friday.
Love those games. Let's go to 4A, guys.
Let's look down at the 4A slate now, John.
How about brand new school playing their first game? Lake Wiley will go on the road. They'll play Ballantyne Ridge just across the border. We've got South Florence traveling to Hilton Head. Sneaky good game there.
I think that's in our pick'em. First-year head coach Scott Braswell for the Bruins there, taking a young squad, but still some good pieces there. Derek Davis and whatnot, going down to a kind of veteran Hilton Head squad for Coach Payne. Thaddeus Zarnecki, Derek Ranazuski. Should be a sneaky good 4A game down in the Low Country. If you're in the area, go check that one out on Friday.
That's a good Hilton Head team as well.
Yes, it is.
Wilson hosting Hartsville.
I like that game. Some really good firepower for Hartsville, Ford Wallace, and that crew there. Defensively for Wilson with Bowman and Brian Wilson are great players. Breaking in a freshman quarterback, though. I believe it's Bryson Hunter is his name there for Coach Wilson. I'm going to go Hartsville on the road. I like Ford Wallace, the quarterback, a little more known commodity there for the Red Foxes.
We've got York at home against Westwood. Pickens hosting Easley. North Central at home against Dreer. North Augusta will travel to Strom-Thurmond.
Might as well talk about that one now. One that's been blowing up a lot of the groups this week. A good rivalry down there at the Peach Fields. Two teams that I think are poised to make some big noise in their classes this year. North Augusta Got to replace Mike Doe, obviously. You got the quarterback back, Colin Tillman, 50 touchdowns last week. Jaden Hatcher comes in at running back. He had a good season last year as a backup. He is the man now there for them. Defensively, Davion McKinnis, Simeon Jones, a good back end as well. Really good defensive backs there for Coach Bush's group. On the Strom Thurmond side, new quarterback, A.J. Hillary steps in for Coach Webb's Rebels there. Running backs, Caden Wigfall, receiver Zy Rouse, Squirt Holmes. Defensively, Braylon Searles. He is a beast out there. While Travius Duger and Makai Quiller on the back end as well. Also playing some receiver there for the Rebels. That'll be a fun game. Tough place to play, as everybody knows, down to the Peach Fields. I don't know who I want to pick in this one, John. I might not make a pick here, but I like that matchup. I like that group there on both sides. Going to be a fun one with the Yellow Jackets and the Rebels on Friday.
Yeah, that'll be a great game. Always a good game down there. Waccamaw will be hosting St. James. South Aiken will welcome in Silver Bluff. Hampton County's at home against Colleton County. That's a Hampton County squad that I'm really, really high on this year. Orangeburg-Wilkinson at home against Fox Creek. Greenville, I saw this one in the chat. Greenville hosting Fountain Inn. I tell you what, I think, Kevin, we might be on the same page here. Yeah. I think this Fountain Inn squad's going to hurt some feelings this year.
Yeah, so there might be, if Malden Christchurch is not the Greenville game of the week, this is here, one or the other. Fountain Inn, I like that group. Sam Holiday, BJ Currington a lot, Nathan McSwain up front, EJ Lundy. They got a good group there for Coach Nichols, a team that has taken steps each year since that program has gotten going. Greenville is sneaky to me, a team that I feel like people are just not talking a lot about. People weren't talking a lot about them last year either, and they slowly kind of got better and better and made some noise there in the season. Snuck up with some folks there for Coach Watson. Got some good pieces back. Keyshawn Farrow, Trip Bryant in that group there. Offensively, especially, they've got some weapons. Renrick on defense, I think, is back for them as well. He's a good player. But I think Fountain Inn, man, I'm high on that team. I think the Fury win this game. I don't know if I have a score for you, Kamari, but I think the Fury win the game on the road. It should be a fun matchup over in Greenville. The new Serene with that turf down there. Say it again.
They've put in turf at Serene Stadium?
Yes, they did.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Every school in Greenville
what they want. We need a pick and a score prediction, guys. Give the people what they asked for.
All right, I'm going to go Fountain Inn. I'm going to go 20-14. They win the game with a defensive stand late.
Wow. I'm going Fountain Inn 35-21. I'm thinking a little more points there in that matchup for me. But, yeah, let's go back to the rest of the 4A ranks, John.
We have Catawba Ridge at home against Blythewood. I think this game is correct. Lucy Beckham hosting Fort Dorchester.
Sounds right.
Fort Mill will be at home against Clover. Hardyville hosting Beaufort. Nation Ford is at home against Gilbert. Loris will travel to Conway.
This is the first time I'll say I've been excited for a Conway team in a long time. New head coach Jody Generette comes over, former West Florence coach, former Ainer coach as well. The new head man there for the Tigers. They got some good playmakers there. I like what he's building in that program already. Loris, love what Coach Mance does there. Lost a lot of pieces, though. We'll see what they've got on Friday. Should be a really fun Horry County matchup over at the backyard.
We'll have Indialand coming off a great year last season. Indialand hosting Harding University. Pretty sure they're out of North Carolina. We'll have Greenwood at home against Riverside. Chester hosting Lancaster. Belton Honeypath hosting that rivalry game against TL Hanna. That's always a fun game. West Florence is at home against Carolina Forest. And Bluffton will be at home against Savannah Country Day. It looks like that game might be at 8 o'clock kickoff. I know Oceanside, they probably moving to 8:30 to try to get that ABC slot. Not sure about Bluffton. Hopefully they get picked up too. We'll see.
Any comments, Jerel, from you or the chat on the 4A slate? Brandon says he likes Daniel Big over Wren. Wren did not look good in Jamboree. Nathaniel says North Augusta 21-7 over Thurman. Brandon says Fountain Inn Greenville should be a good game. I agree there with you, Brandon.
Let's go to 3A, guys.
Looking down at the 3A slate now, John, what do we got in that classification?
We're going to have Berea hosting Blacksburg. Daniel hosting Ren. I saw some comments about that game, about Ren not looking good in Jamboree. I think Ren's a pretty good football team, though, but I like Daniel in that game.
Yeah, I think two teams that are top 10 in 3A, in my opinion. I like them both a lot. I like Daniel. Obviously, tons of weapons. Trey Wembley, that crew, Kingston Bibb, Jace Grass is back for them offensively. Offensive line is pretty solid as well. I do worry a little bit about the defensive line. In a game against a guy like Muntu Brown for Ren, they're really be running back. How much does that affect them? I don't know. Coach Freight, great defensive coach. We know that for him at Ren there. Like the quarterback Jacob Owens back. He's a good player as well for them, with, like I said, Muntu Brown already. I think Daniel wins this game, but it should be a fun one, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, that'll be a great game. Ridgeland, it will be at home against North Charleston. Crescent hosting Emerald. Broome is at home against Woodruff.
That game intrigues me. If you had told me last week they were playing, I said, all right, whatever. But after the way that Woodruff looked in the Jamboree, now I'm really intrigued by this Wolverines team. Was it kind of a, just an aberration there on last Friday, or they have some problems to figure out? We'll see. I think Woodruff's the better football team over Broome, but we'll find out on Friday.
Blue Ridge will be at home against St. Joseph's. Airport hosting Pelion. Nation Ford at home against Gilbert. One of our CONA games of the week we talked about, Dillon hosting Camden between the white walls. That'll be a great game. Bishop England at home against Porter-Gaud. Southside is at home against Dixie. That's Southside High School. Pendleton is at home against Palmetto. Landrum hosting Walhalla. Chapman is at home against Eastside. Georgetown hosting Aner. Lower Richland hosting Fairfield Central. A lot of talk about that Fairfield Central program this year. Newberry at home against Union. Andrews will be hosting Lakewood. Crestwood will travel to Manning. Hanahan is at home against Philip Simmons.
That's a fun kind of rivalry game there, too, with those two programs. Intriguing to see what they've got. I think we all know that Philip Simmons has some really good pieces back. We'll see what Hanahan has on Friday. Should be a good matchup.
I just want everyone to have fun in that one. That's all I want.
Somebody's going to have more fun than someone else.
That's what we want for every game, right, Jerel?
Mullins is hosting Atlantic Collegiate. Powdersville at home against Seneca.
I think the Seneca team is kind of an interesting one to me this year. Lose a lot of pieces. New head coach Streak Ellis taking over. I think they're good. I don't know if they're as good as last year. I like that Powdersville bunch, so I think they win at home on Friday.
I think that's another squad that's might sneak up on some folks. And Powdersville should never sneak up on you, but I feel like they're going to be a really, really good team this year. Brooklyn Casey at home against Hammond.
I think Hammond wins that one. I know it's a SCISA high school league matchup. I think the Skyhawks are better defensively. Hugh Manning, Jackson Ross, Coach Wheeler's bunch is really, really good. Brooklyn Casey got some pieces to figure out there for Coach Clyburn. I think the Skyhawks win that game on the road. Yeah,
and Hammond, even though they're a SCISA squad, they're a little bit different than your typical, quite a bit different than your typical SCISA team. And then closing out 3A, we've got Swansea hosting Keenan.
Any comments, Jerel, from you on the 3A ranks or from the chat?
Let's keep this thing rolling, guys.
Well, let's shout out some friends of the program, Jerel, and come back and go through the 2A, 1A, and SCISA ranks.
From day one, Preferred Home Services was outstanding.
They were fast, friendly, and fix it right the first time.
Save now. Have your HVAC tuned up for just $79 with Preferred Home Services.
Looking for top-notch sports gear and uniforms? Look no further than First Team Sports. With 30 years of serving the Carolinas, First Team Sports is your local full-service dealer. From youth teams to colleges, we've got you covered with team uniforms, staff apparel, Letterman jackets, sports equipment, and facility branding. Visit our local store in Greenville or firstteamsc.com. Make First Team your first choice.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
John, let's take a look at the 2A ranks now and go through that slate for this week.
Yeah, we'll start with Cardinal Newman hosting American Leadership. Whale Branch will be at home against Battery Creek. Lake City travels to Hannah Pamplico. Mountain View hosting Ambassador Christian Academy. South Aiken is at home against Silver Bluff. Lake Marion will travel to Edisto. Big time game here, Saluda hosting Abbeville. I know we got a lot of Saluda fans in the house right now as well.
Yeah, I think the Tigers are a good group there. I like the quarterback, Avery Cole. I like some pieces around him as well. Running back Tristan Daniels, tight end Jameer Myers, receiver DB Daryl Hill, Setian Springs on the back end as well. There for Coach Werner. Abbeville is kind of an unknown this year for me. I mean, I think they're always good. We know that. But a lot of new players stepping in, it feels like Coach Nichols' bunch there. How good are they going to be? We'll find out a lot on Friday night, it feels like.
I know we saw an Abbeville team play that had a lot of guys out. That's might have been 2 years ago. And, man, were they good. I think Coach Nichols, he's going to have that group ready.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see Mid-Carolina hosting 96. Swansea is at home against Keenan. Airport hosting Pelion. Andrew Jackson at home against Jerel.
That's a game got moved to Thursday, I believe. It may not be up there, but I'm pretty sure it is a Thursday matchup now between the Braves and the Volunteers. Always fun. Former region rivals now got split up. It should be a fun game on, I think, Thursday now.
That'll be a great Thursday night game. We'll see Landrum at home against Walhalla. Chester hosting Lancaster. Academic Magna is at home against First Baptist. Scotch Branch hosting East Clarendon. West Oak will travel to Calhoun Falls. Hanahan at home against Philip Simmons. Manning at home against Crestwood. Eau Claire hosting Columbia. A little bit of a rivalry game there. Orangeburg Wilkinson hosting Fox Creek, and Woodruff travels to Broome.
Yeah, I mentioned that Woodruff Broome game earlier. Also, OW and Fox Creek. I'm intrigued to see this Bear squad. I think we were all kind of high on them last week in our preview show. Coach Carter's bunch. I'm excited to see how they handle a bigger school in Fox Creek. I know a lot of theirs is due to the transfer stuff. They got bumped up with them being a charter school there at Fox Creek. But still, OW, I think, is a good bunch. I think they win that game at home on Friday. Jerel, comments from you or the chat or on the 2A ranks. Brandon says, who do we like? Emerald Crescent. That's a fun game. Two teams that have really good quarterbacks. Mason Evans at Crescent, I think, threw for 2,300 yards, something like that last year. Then you get I think he threw for 23. I think ran for another 1,000. You get Bo Height at Emerald there, the South Carolina baseball commit as of I think this week. So hats off to Bo. They're really excited for him. Two teams that I like. I think the offenses are good. I think Emerald a little bit deeper, a little bit better. I think the Vikings win that game against the Tigers.
Yeah, I like Emerald in that game too. They really came on the scene last year. I hope to see them continue that momentum this year as well.
Saluted by 10, says Ruddy. That would be a very nice win. And people are complaining, saying Saluta's ranked too low. If you win by 10 over Abbeville, I think you're going to jump in the poll pretty quickly.
It's just, Chris, I apologize. I will not pick against Batesburg Leesville again if you're going to get me banned from Sheely's Barbecue. So we'll go ahead and figure that one out. Let's go to 1A, guys.
Let's look down to the 1A ranks now, John.
Yeah, we'll lead off with McCormick traveling to Greenwood Christian. Cross at home against St. John's. Lake City traveling to Hannah Pamplico. Whale Branch at home against Battery Creek. Mid-Carolina hosting 96. Thornwell will be hosting Northside Christian. Edisto is at home against Lake Marion. Green Sea Floyds will travel over the border and play East Columbus. West Oak will travel to Calhoun Falls Charter. Hunter Kenner Tyler at home against Bamberg Earhart. Big time 1A matchup here.
I think big time in the fact that the Red Raiders win by 50. If you want to call it big time. I mean, I like that Red Raider squad a bunch, man, for Coach Crosby. I think HKT, lost some pieces the last couple of years, but certainly a good program. I think Bamberg Earhart is just a different level than most 1A programs right now, it feels like.
If they win by 50, that's going to certainly strike fear in most of 1A. Bethune-Bowman, they'll be at home against Clear Dot Charter. Andrews is at home against Lakewood. Now, this is really good. This has got to be the 1A game of the week right here. Central DePageland traveling to Louisville. That is a top 10 matchup if you look at the media poll. I think the only one within classification this week.
Yeah, and Trent Usher, head coach at Louisville, a Central alum, great player there. His dad coached there for a long time. Really cool tie in there with those two schools. Louisville, a bunch of talent has moved on the last couple of years via graduation or transfer. I think they're rebuilding a little bit this year. The Lions are. Central, Coach Easton, you lost some pieces as well, but you have quarterback Dwayne Llewellyn is back. He's a really good playmaker. They're going to run him and throw him all season long, I bet. And I think he's good enough to win a lot of football games. I think the Eagles win this game against Louisville. Like you said, a good matchup there, a cool tie-in, cool storyline too between those two groups.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the Eagles in this game. I think we might see some points in this one. Then we'll see Buford. They'll host Barnwell.
That's a Thursday game as well. I remember seeing that one getting moved earlier today.
Nice game here in the PD. You got Lakeview hosting Johnsonville.
That's a really good. That's probably the best game in the PD between two PD teams there. Two 1A teams that we think will be contenders in Division II this year, Lower State especially. I like those two groups a lot. Should be a fun matchup with the Gators and the Flashes.
Rich Spring Monetta will travel to Ware Shoals. Latta on the road against Carvers Bay.
A game that we saw, I think, twice last year, regular season and in the playoffs. Carvers Bay won both matchups. I think Carvers Bay is good again, John. I know they lost Zion Giles up front, but they returned, I think, the quarterback, returned some key pieces around him. I think Coach Richard's squad is sneaky again down in 1A. Yeah,
that was a fun group to watch last year, Carvers Bay. And hey, for Latta, it's there's some talk about that Latta program being pretty good again this year as well.
I do like them as well.
Calhoun County will be at home against Allendale Fairfax. Chesterfield hosting C.A. Johnson. We've got Branchville at home against Whitmire. Wagner Sally traveling to Great Falls. Hemingway at McBee. Am I looking at that one right?
Welcome back, Hemingway. Welcome back, Hemingway.
All right.
We are football this year. I love to see that from the Tigers, man. Excited to have them back. I hope that program is headed in the right direction now.
And to close out our Friday night, Thursday night slate, Lee Central will travel to Military Magnet.
Yeah, and John, while you were scrolling through there, I did see also 1A. Darlington Lamar is also moving to Thursday. So another Thursday game there in the 1A ranks between those two programs. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the 1A slate. Courtney says, who do we have, BHP or TL Hanna? I'm going to go TL Hanna. Week one, that offense is tough to prepare for. I know you need some extra time. I know, but still a lot of new pieces there for BHP, new head coach. I think TL Hanna is just a bigger program, a little more depth. I think they win this game here in week one.
That's all we got there. Let's jump down to SCISA, guys.
Looking down at the SCISA ranks now, we've got Colin and Prep going to Lee Academy. Lawrence Manning traveling to Williamsburg. I like that game there, John. Lawrence Manning, first-year head coach David Rankin. They bring a lot of good pieces back, lacking in depth a little bit, though. Worries me some. A good Williamsburg squad under Coach First. They'll be tough, as they always are. You mentioned a couple of these already. We had some high school league SCISA cross matchups with American Leadership and Cardinal Newman. We've got Hilton Head Prep at St. Andrews, Buford Academy at Hilton Head Christian. Our CONA SCISA game of the week, Heathwood Hall at Pinewood Prep. McCormick at Greenwood Christian, Community Christian at King's Academy, King Academy at Wardlaw, Portergout at Bishop England, Newberry at Cambridge Academy, John Paul II at Augusta Christian, Richard Wynn at Lawrence, Hammond at Brooklyn Casey, Cathedral at Palmetto Christian, Dillon Christian at Florence Christian, First Baptist at Academic Magnet, Spartanburg Christian at Asheville Christian, Holly Hill at St. John's. Game one of 11-man football for Holly Hill. Excited for that program this year. Dorchester at Patrick Henry. Carolina at Thomas Sumter. Trinity Collegiate travels to the Lawn to take on PD Academy. That'll be an interesting matchup. The Golden Eagles are, new quarterback. Got to figure that out. Judson Martin's going to lead that group there for them. Trinity Collegiate got some good playmakers, Garrison Copeland and whatnot. A fun matchup with the Titans and the Golden Eagles on Friday. Jefferson Davis against Andrew Jackson. Clarendon Hall at Thomas Hayward. Spartanburg Day at Calhoun Academy. Spartanburg Day looking for win number 1 in their program history. Northwood going to Bethesda. Bethesda always talented, always athletic bunch. I think Northwood is just too much. I think they're a bigger program, a better program. I think the Chargers win that matchup. Northside Christian at Thornwell, and then Orangeburg Prep at Wilson Hall to round out the SCISA ranks. Jerel, any more comments from you or the chat on SCISA or anything else as we move through the program here.
No comments on SCISA here. Let's go ahead and
quick question. Can you guys fact check? Do y'all know this? Porter-Gaud, Bishop England. Is that what they call the Holy War? Is that right? I'm making that up.
No, I don't think you're making it up. I've heard that before.
I like that. Coach Neighbors and Coach Hall getting after it on Friday. Should be a fun matchup down there in the Low Country. Well, Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program, come back and do some housekeeping stuff, and then get out of here.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Guys, if you are not on our email list, if you're not following us on social media, check out our Pick'em contest. The inaugural one for the season went out today. You do 11 games a week. We drop your lowest score throughout the season. Love to have you join that. It's a lot of fun to do. It gives you a reason to watch the games, not just for your team or not just in your area, but across the state. So certainly check that out. Brought to you by our friends at Hanna Engineering. Next week, we'll have our teams of the week. We will have our players of the week. We've got our games of the week. You already know about those. So lots of great stuff coming. Obviously, next Tuesday night, we'll be back with our 7:15 preview show as well. But really excited, guys, to get this season rolling. You know, we've rolled through a lot of really, really good matchups this week. Man, it's a great week one slate. Not sure where I'm going to be yet, but if you see me out there, be sure to say hello. Jerel, let's preview some of our merch right quick. If you guys want to buy some merch, support the boys. We've got some nice hoodies, some nice T-shirts, some nice hats. We've got stickers as well. Really good stuff, athletic shirts, all kinds of stuff. Email us, info@movinchange.com. Send us a DM on social media. Love to have you repping us and helping us grow the program and make it bigger and better each and every week. Certainly check us out, support us. That would be awesome to have y'all helping us grow this thing to be bigger and better. If this is your first time watching, we appreciate you doing so. Follow us on all social media at Movin Chains, our website, movinchange.com, and our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Jerel, any final thoughts from the chat, final comments from the chat before we wrap up here for the week?
Let's see, guys.
Anthony says, rivalry reborn this Thursday, 08 and 09 lower state title games, Golston and Elliott, Alfred back then. Yeah, Myrtle Beach, Marlboro County was always a great matchup back then, man. Those are some heavy hitters at quarterback. Elliott Alford was a stud from Marlboro County. Everett Golston, obviously, there for Myrtle Beach. Andrew's talking about Sumter High School football. They've got a big one down at Summerville. That was one of our CONA games of the week, Andrew. If you guys missed any part of the show, the games of the week, any classification, you go back and watch it. When we get done, it'll live on YouTube and Facebook forever. Go check it out there. Kenneth says, who do y'all have, AJA or JDA? Kenneth, I made the pick last week. I'm really high on this Andrew Jackson team. You know, they were a dominant force in 8-man for a long time, moved up to 11-man, back down at 8-man now. I like Ollie Barnes, Mathis Johnson, Tucker, and that group. I think they beat a good JDA team. I'm going AJA on Friday. Who do you guys like, John and Jerel?
I like AJ making that transition back down, too. I think they're going to be an exciting team to watch this year.
Clean sweep. Let's do it.
I love it. Any other comments, Jerel, from the chat? Chris says, thank you for coming back doing it again this year. We love it, Chris. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Excited to talk ball with you guys all season long. Going to be a lot of fun. You know, we always say we're just getting rolling. If y'all have any tips, stuff you'd like to see better, let us know. Like, we're happy to adjust the show, adjust what we do. So certainly hit us up with any thoughts you have, man. We'd love to get some feedback from some folks as we continue to try to grow and make a better product.
Chris, too, longtime supporter of MTC. I think,
yes.
I think we still have the iPad up and Chris was watching. So appreciate him as well.
No doubt about it. Well, Jerel, John, any final thoughts from you guys before we wrap up here for week one?
I'm just really looking forward to it. Some just awesome week one matchups that we don't normally get to see.
Yeah, weird not calling it week 0. That's been, very difficult. I'm glad we did not slip up and do that this week. But, yeah, week 1 is here. I mean, it's been a long time in the making. I mean, everybody was playing week 0 anyway. So I'm glad that we made that shift this year. And again, shout out to the ADs and the coaches for scheduling tough, these first couple of weeks. I'm super excited about these non-region matchups.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun, man. A loaded slate. Like I said, don't know where we're going yet. If you see us out there, say hello. We'd love to talk to you guys. Love to talk some ball with you. Certainly do that. But yeah, it's exciting to see some actual football that counts this Friday. So can't wait to get that going. But this has been our week 1 preview show here on Moving the Chains. For Jerel, Hendricks, and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Moving the Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin' Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.